Is Donald Trump's presidency in free fall? Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking at this war of aggression in Iran and I'm thinking, this is political. I don't want to say it's political suicide for Donald Trump and for all of the Republicans who are supporting what he's doing. There was polling out yesterday showing that only 27% of Americans support the war in Iran. And you might be thinking like, holy shit, that's a lot of people. Please understand how many people in the United States are like hardcore MAGA. They get all of their information as propaganda from Fox News and other regime-controlled media. A while back, Heather Cox Richardson said, in any kind of society, you're always going to have 25-30% of the population that's really fringe and far right, and we should not expect any different. And I agree with her on that. The fact that only 27% of the population from the get-go, at the initiation of this war, when approval should be the strongest, you can't start an incredibly expensive war when 80% of the population is initially opposed to it. And we haven't even seen all of the awful things yet. 7 American service members have died already. When that number hits 100, when it hits 1,000, do you think that more people are going to be in support of this war? And speaking of numbers, gas prices are already starting to go up, but we're just barely starting to see how terrible things are going to get for the economy. This war is expensive. It's unpopular. The American people don't understand why we're doing it. Again, maybe that's not true. They do understand why we're doing it. Both people on the political left, and the center, and also conservative Americans understand that this war is happening because Bibi Netanyahu wants it, and Donald Trump does anything that Bibi wants.
What's sad is when the whole world and Americans are looking at the situation, and we know the reason. Because you're beholden to Bibi Netanyahu. Mm-hmm. We don't know why. We don't know if it's because of you're getting paid, allegedly. We don't know if we just know you're compromised in some way. And I would say it again. I don't want any American elected official being beholden to anybody but the American people. Like, I don't give a fuck who it is.
0 American lives should be taken if you don't have an excuse for us to even go do this. Like, not a single American should be dead if you're not even willing to give us a reason why we should be going to do this.
And if the whole world...
How disrespectful is that to Americans? The people that not only foot in the bill for this, but also risking their lives for us, that you don't even give us the dignity of an excuse to do it?
And what's so sad is when the whole...
All of y'all got to get out of here. Only reason it looks like we're in there is just because Israel needs it. Right? And then naturally, Americans are furious about it. Right? Because we're like, how the fuck does this benefit me? I can't afford to pay for college. I can't buy a home. I can't pay for health insurance. And we're going to spend billions of dollars on a war in a country I can't even point out on a map. Mm. How is this beneficial to me?
So you have the America First conservatives who are like, we don't want this. Folks who are in support of this war are religious zealots who think that this will bring about the end times, the apocalypse. These are MAGA evangelical Christo-fascist, Mike Johnson types who are in support of this war, but loads and loads of conservatives who are not simping for Israel, who don't believe in some bizarre apocalyptic heretical notion of like, we're going to bring about the end of the world through this holy war. They don't support this. There's no way that popularity for this war increases. It's already abysmally low. Think about what Donald Trump ran on, right? The economy, national security, and immigration. He done fucked all 3 of those things. He's now deeply underwater on all 3 of those things. His most popular platform elements, he has failed to deliver on, and he has pissed off the American people on every single one. He's done such a bad job that it's now a popular idea. The majority of Americans think that ICE cannot be saved. It's gone too far. It should be dismantled. DHS should be dismantled. He had to fire Kristi Noem. That was his number 1 winning issue, immigration. Absolutely shredded, tanked the economy. He's bleeding jobs. Gas prices are going up and they're going to keep going up. And it's going to mean more and more bad news for the economy. We're already hemorrhaging jobs. The stock market was just tanking. Now, I understand. I said this on Blue Sky the other day. Part of what Trump has done so far, many, many times throughout the last year, is that he fucks shit up. The stocks go into free fall. And then he and his buddies and his sons buy up a bunch of stocks. He pulls back the tariffs. He decides he's not going to attack Greenland, and you watch the stock market recover. They've now made a shit ton of money buying low. manipulating the market so that prices rise and then they sell, right? There's always grift and graft. It's always about how a con man can make a bunch of money through corruption. That's definitely part of it. So I do wonder whether or not they're going to back out in Iran. There is that element of like, they're doing what Bibi wants. Last time he said they were going to be in Iran for who knows how long. So when he says, no, we will only accept complete and total surrender, I think that's very, very unlikely. First of all, they're not going to get complete and total surrender. They don't even know what that means. And second of all, he doesn't have the political capital to maintain this. There's a piece out in the New Republic that as I was reading through it, I was like, oh, I agree with this and this and this. It's by Greg Sargent and it's entitled Donald Trump's Presidency is in Freefall. I'm going to read just this little bit to you here. When Trump took office last year, it was reasonable to fear that the American public would rally behind mass deportations and tariffs. That is, embrace two of the main tenets of right-wing nationalism. Meanwhile, the launch of the largest military attack in the Middle East in decades might have plausibly produced a rally around the war president effect, but none of that is happening. And that's significant in obvious ways. This war is a no-win, and I understand that there's already been loss of American lives. Huge amounts of money has been spent. So many civilians in Iran have been murdered. Our military is responsible for bombing schools and killing hundreds of little girls. But this is a political disaster for Donald Trump and for all of the Republicans who are rallying behind him right now, because the American people are not going to rally around him for this. It reminds me of something that Timothy Snyder said the other day.
The scenario I'm worried about, the election suppression, election federalization scenario, where, something blows up in Kansas, God forbid, and it's connected to Iran, and therefore we have to federalize the election because it's not safe, something like that. And that only works if there is tight elite cooperation and the elites around Trump believe that they're going to do this, get away with it, not be punished. Yep. And I think that one of the costs of this war for him is likely to be that kind of elite coherence is going to be much harder to achieve. Yep. Because I think the war is going to cause people to peel off, to peel away, especially if the war is moving to the second point that you made, especially if we talk about the war in the right way. And I think there are huge opportunities here to talk about the things that we've talked about, the senselessness of it, the ruthlessness of it, the indifference to American lives involved.
Don't forget, every terrible action the regime takes, that creates an opportunity for it to blow up in their face, for there to be a significant backlash effect. And I think that Tim Snyder is absolutely right here. The elites that are supporting him, some of those pillars of support are going to be peeling away. We're already seeing that from folks on the political right who aren't AIPAC sycophants, who don't like the fact that this is totally fucking up the economy and it's going to get a lot worse. And they don't understand the point of this. It feels extremely needless. I also thought, by the way, it was interesting. This was before the Kansas City airport was evacuated due to a bomb threat, that Tim Snyder was like, oh, there's a risk that, and again, I think Donald Trump would love for there to be some kind of, incident here in the United States, either a false flag one or a real sleeper cell activation situation, because then Donald Trump will use that to try and grab more power. But I don't think the American people are going to buy that. This is not going to be something like rally around George Bush and 9/11. I also agree with this New Republic article that Trump might end the war and claim victory very quickly. He's done that over and over again. When he's losing, he just hightails it out of there and says, I won. And that's not what happened. The concern here is that he took a cleric and killed him and killed a bunch of members of his family. And now his son has risen to power. His son who once nukes, his son who is much more ruthless and is likely to escalate. So Donald Trump has risked our national security in significant ways because of this action, further destabilized the Middle East, made life much worse for Iranians, wasted shit tons of our money, cost us American lives. I don't think the elites are going to rally around him. I think Snyder is right. They're going to pull back. They're going to peel off. We're all already seeing it. And it's up to us, the American people, to pressure our members of Congress, to pressure everybody that we can to, as Snyder said, talk about the war in the right way. Be honest and factual about what this war is costing all of us, how there's no reason for it. There's no benefit. It is senseless, cruel, needless, expensive. War has to be a no-win for the Trump regime. It has to further erode their power, and we have a role to play in making sure that happens. War is awful, but we have to realize that there are ways that we can use what Trump is doing to our advantage so that we can stop the war. have to be savvy. We have to understand that this is politics at play. We have to understand that the morally just and right thing is also the politically savvy thing. This is a needless and senseless war, and we have to make sure that the American people understand that and that it comes back to bite Trump in the butt and the Republicans who support it.